Sends it Hunter. And Virginia with the all-time turnaround title.
Good morning, Wahoo Nation! It's time to wake up, get your coffee, and get hyped for some Wahoo's hoops. Today, obviously, we're playing Gonzaga. It's a big game, biggest game of the year. Possibly the biggest non-conference game we've played in, 3 or 4 years. Because last year's non-conference schedule was kind of a dud, and we haven't had really a great non-conference game that really got me fired up since probably Villanova a few years ago. After being all excited about playing, we're supposed to play Florida, Michigan State, Villanova, and we lost all of them. Well, now Santa Claus brought us a special gift, a chance to go and play number 1 in the country, number 2 in Ken Palm, and a tremendous stylistic challenge for the Hoos. So everybody get your coffee. Hopefully out of your national championship mug like mine. And, let's get ready for the game, get hyped up, and let's get ready to know what we're going to look for. What are you going to see? Do the Hoos even have a chance? The first thing you want to do in your preparations for the game is to check out St. Louis' preview over on Who's Place. And it's up, you can see. And as he always does, St. Louis has he's broken it down with the game details. And unless I'm trying to get it to scroll here, but it's kind of... All right, there we go. I guess I probably got to do it this way. All right. So this is a trial run of a new software system. This live stream thing is new for us. Now, I know it's not currently live streamed today because YouTube, whatever. But next time we do this, it will be live streamed. But right now, I'm using the live stream software to record, to make this video. So it's kind of like live stream. This is me live, and I'm not going to go back and edit. This is live. Who's Play Studio presenting, live streaming, and we're going to have a lot more for you. But anyway, St. Louis previews gives us what the odds say, brings us to the depth chart for Gonzaga, and the Zags, they are led by their point guard, who's just another example that great freshmen can come in and have a big impact in the college game at the point guard position. And Jalen Suggs is just another example of it. The kid is fantastic. He's dynamic, and he's going to be the Who's number 1 problem this afternoon. So, anyway, and then the ABCs of Gonzaga and their season to date, and what the Hoos are going to have to do to get the win. I'm not going to scroll all the way down because I don't want you to see St. Louis' prediction. You're just going to have to see that for yourself on the website. So, anyway, that's Who's Place for you. That's our preview. Some other things you might want to do in getting ready for the game. The locker room access people, they had a podcast. They recorded it back, even actually before this game was announced, they had recorded it. They got a coach from San Francisco and a coach from Portland, a couple of schools that are in Gonzaga's conference, so they know Gonzaga very well. I got some really good information from listening to that podcast. And the guys are at Locker Room Access. They actually have Locker Room Access. They use it well. They've given us some good content. We're going to do something with Zach Carey at some point, who, definitely should give him a follow on Twitter and read his stuff, both with Locker Room Access and also with Nets Republic. He's got a gig doing that, so he gets to cover Joe Harrison. So that's a good read there. But, Gonzaga, they're known for their offense. They have one of the best offenses in the country. They have one of the best offenses we've seen in years, and they are a complete stylistic opposite of the way UVA likes to play. And in past years, I would have said that they're exactly the kind of team that we're built to defeat. But so far this year, the defense, the Hoos haven't really been playing classic Virginia basketball. We saw a little bit better against William and Mary, but still a ways to go. It's going to be a huge challenge with Gonzaga. Now let's go back to the web, because I've got the Ken Palm page up for you. And you can see there, I've got his efficiency and tempo page. But let's go to his ratings. And currently, right now, Gonzaga is number 2. Virginia's number 14. We've been climbing, even while not playing games. And the Zags, number 2 in the nation in adjusted offense, behind Iowa. And you look over here, number 14 in adjusted defense. So, the Zags look extremely challenging for the Hoos. My God, if their defense is that good and their offense is that good, then what are we going to do? But I think we can go behind the numbers a little bit on their defense, and that's why I had the efficiency page up when I first came over, because I was looking at that. And if you look at Gonzaga, they're right here. You'll see this is tempo, and we come over to defensive efficiency. Adjusted, they're number 14, and if you look at the raw, they're number 118. And in most cases, the adjusted numbers are going to be probably a more accurate reflection of a team's overall quality. But in this case, I want to look at this 118 and make an argument that for Gonzaga's case so far this year, I think the raw rating is actually probably a little more accurate for the quality of Gonzaga's defense. And I've watched 3 other games. I watched them play Kansas. I watched them play West Virginia. And then I went back preparing for this, and I watched them play Iowa. And I've got some clips from the Iowa game to show you what Gonzaga, it's Gonzaga, as Coach Bennett pointed out to the Virginia media after the William & Mary game. It is Gonzaga. They don't like Gonzaga, even though, that's kind of how it should be pronounced. But, hey, they're from over there in Eastern Washington, and, just think Eastern Washington, Blacksburg, kind of a good, of course, Tony Bennett came from Washington State, and just between you and me, Washington State is kind of the Virginia Tech of Washington, whereas UW, University of Washington, would be more the UVA of Washington. Tony, he graduated from Virginia Tech to Virginia when he came here. But anyway, the reason I want to say that in Gonzaga's case, the raw score might be actually more accurate is that the adjusted, it takes into account the strength of schedule, and it adjusts the raw numbers for the quality of the opposition. And Gonzaga obviously has played extremely high quality opposition, and so their 97 defensive efficiency, it looks better than it would look if it was up against, say, UVA's schedule to date so far. And I think in most cases that holds, and when we get to the end of the season, that'll hold. If they're still number 14 adjusted, then okay, yeah, we'll give them their props. But right now, the flaw in an adjusted ranking is if the number 100 offense in college basketball would have just as much success on each play as the number 4 offense had against that defense, then that defense is getting too much credit for what it did against that number 4 offense. And for example, Gonzaga played Northwestern back-to-back, and Northwestern State is not a high caliber Division I, it's not a P5 school. As a matter of fact, they're ranked number 294th. And they put up 57 and 78 points against Gonzaga in those 2 games. Auburn only put up 67. West Virginia only put up 82. So, Northwestern State, they scored right up there in the same range as 2 of the more highly regarded teams that Gonzaga played. So, how much credit do we give the Gonzaga defense for that? And the other part of why I'm saying this is because I've watched Gonzaga, and I've seen some things in their defense that, frankly, I'm not really all that impressed with. So, excuse me. So to say that are they the 14th best defense in the nation? No, I don't think so. I don't think they are. So it's not as daunting a task as it looks for Virginia's offense. Now, Gonzaga's offense is extremely daunting. They are, as one of the coaches on Locker Room Access said, Gonzaga is extremely committed to playing their style of basketball. They are as committed to their style of basketball as Virginia is committed to our style of basketball. And Gonzaga's style of basketball is to play very high tempo. They're a transition team, but not just transition, they're a secondary break team. And if the closest analog that we have would be North Carolina. Dean Smith created his secondary break system. Roy Williams plays it religiously. And of course, Roy played and coached under Dean for a lot of years. And, Gonzaga, it's the same kind of thing. They're going to push the ball on steals and turnovers. They're going to push the ball on defensive rebounds. They'll push the ball off of made baskets. They're going to try to get it up the court very quickly, 1 through 4. When they get it off the backboard, they'll put it on the deck and bring it up. And the other guys are running lanes. And if they don't have the immediate transition basket, then they're going to run their secondary break, and they're still looking to take quick shots. And I call it the blitz. Gonzaga plays the blitz. It's all fast break and secondary break. They don't want to play offense deep into the clock. They don't want to run half-court offense. They don't really run anything that complicated. If they're into the half-court, and it's a lot of pick and roll, a lot of good spacing. It's mostly they'll do a lot of side ball screen stuff out of kind of 4 out. And they like to get their guards downhill, and they also like to get into the post to one of the big men. In a couple past years, they've had a lot of big men. They might have 2 big men in at the same time. But this year, it's pretty much Drew Timme, and they're playing Corey Kispert at the 4 a lot. And Corey Kispert is kind of a Joe Harris guy. He's a little bit bigger than Joe. He's about 6'7", 220. But he plays, his offensive game is a lot like Joe, and he's a knockdown shooter. And I'm going to try to play some clips for you. It's not going to be quite the way I wanted it to be because the Telestrator app that I was going to use doesn't really work that well. But let's pull up a couple of videos to show you, how the Zags like to play it fast. So I'm going to switch over to the video here, and I'm going to pick one. And it's not going to be the one that is on the screen now because that's a tester that I had. So let's choose a file, and we are going to get for you Zags secondary break. All right, so let's go ahead. You can see Gonzaga is bringing the ball up. Everything's in transition. There's 28 seconds left on the shot clock, and now let's watch what happens when we roll it. They get it down to Suggs. He penetrates, and there's Kispert wide open because Iowa's defense didn't do a very good job. Hey, let's run it again. All right, first we pause it. Now, Iowa's defenders, they don't even know Kispert is there. They're all sucked down to the baseline by the drive, and nobody's picking up Kispert, who kind of came up late, and he gets the shot. All right, so that's just an example of not necessarily scoring on the first, the fast break transition, but running something and then scoring off of that. All right, so then we go, let's get the next. And this is going to be in the second half. And another example of their secondary break. See, that's 29 seconds. I just got it going up court. And again, Suggs is bringing it up. And you see what they did there. Again, the defense is not very impressive, but Virginia does this a lot too, where the big will come up and set that high ball screen at the start. But usually we don't have this kind of success. Now I'm guessing Iowa's communication isn't that great because that kind of screen shouldn't really work that great, and there's no rotation. And Tony Bennett, seeing this, he would say this would never happen against my team. And so that's just an example of what Gonzaga likes to do. And I can give you a couple more examples. And what's really going to be a problem for us is Lee Suggs. And let's show you an example of how Lee Suggs is going to be a problem if we're not. You have to be alert. And this is another example of the transition. And think back to a very recent UVA point guard and see if this reminds you of what he liked to do. All right. So again, this is just vintage Gonzaga. And this is what, Iowa's defense, first off, you can see, I don't think that's a guard that's picking him up. He's definitely worried about Suggs getting to the rim. So he's playing back, giving him room. And then Suggs sees his big man coming. Iowa's defense is unaware of the big man, and so they don't react. And Suggs, he uses his big man as a screen when the big wasn't even set in the screen. And, it gets a clean, unpressured look. So those are a couple examples of what Gonzaga wants to do. And, they have their average possession is only 13 seconds long. They're not running things deep into the clock. They space the floor very well. When they drive and dish, they'll get you in rotation. They'll work the ball on one side, try to run a screen and roll. And if it doesn't work on that side, they'll come back to the other side and run it there. And they get your defense moving back and forth. And that's how you make a defense break down. So let's take a look at another video. And this time we're going to see, this is a screen roll, just a little example of what they might do in their half court offense. I want you to take a look at the guy in the middle of the screen. We'll just run it once. Screen, they slip it, and Drew Timme gets right to the basket. And they're going to do this to us. Like teams, they do that slip screen to us all the time because they like to take advantage of. Teams take advantage of our hedging, and they try to catch us hedging too fast. And this is an example of a side ball screen. All right. One thing I want you to notice from all these examples, the defense was crap. I don't know what Iowa's. Let's take a look and see what's Iowa's defensive ranking. Let's take a look. Let's see. Ken Palm. Iowa's number 5. All right, their adjusted defensive ranking is 61. So, yeah, their defense kind of sucks. Virginia, our adjusted defensive ranking, even the crap schedule that we've played and the issues that we've had, is still number 3. No, I don't think we're the 3rd best defense in the country right now, but hey, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And we took great strides against William and Mary. I was pleased to see that. All right, so what is the biggest problem that we're gonna face with Gonzaga's offense? Probably the biggest thing, before we get there. No, let's do this first. Then we'll go there. I have an outline, but I'm probably not following it. I'm kind of going off the cuff here. Because, this is my first cup of coffee. Actually, that's a lie. If I were broadcasting live like I intended to be, this would be like 6:15 in the morning for me, and it might be my first cup of coffee. This is actually a dummy cup of coffee. I don't know. Let's see if I can get it. See, it looks brown there. It's actually this morning's leftover coffee with some of the Glenlivet 15 Scotch that my domestic partner got for me for Christmas. And actually, I know some of you are, you're groaning. You're almost sick to your stomach at the thought of putting coffee in Glenlivet 15-year-old single malt Scotch, but it's actually really good. It's actually really good. So I did it as a prop, but maybe it's the Scotch is why I'm not really following my outline, and I'm all over the place here. But anyway, Gonzaga's offense is the main challenge. Their defense is nothing complicated. They're basically a straight-up man-to-man defensive team. They'll vary how they cover ball screens. They'll hedge, but mostly they're laying off, and they'll do a lot of switching on them. They like to go for steals. They like to anticipate. Lee Suggs was a defensive back in high school, one of the best in the country, and he uses that anticipation. We'll see that. Hey, let's take a look at that. I actually have a video of that to show you guys because I picked one out from that same Iowa game. All right, let's see. Yep, Zags D anticipation. All right, so I want you to look, find number 1 on the screen. He's going to be in kind of on the, he's down on the baseline here in the bottom corner, off the ball. And so just kind of watch as Iowa Garza posts up in the middle, and then Suggs got fouled there to stop the break. All right, just again, this is what Gonzaga wants to do. They're going to try to, defensively, they're going to try to get steals, they anticipate, and it doesn't always work for them. Here's an example of something that the Who's can try to take advantage of. All right, let's see. Where are we? Yeah, here we go. Now here, let me just kind of watch it once, and you're going to see the Gonzaga defender, he overhelps and he reaches for the ball, gets off balance, and he can't recover. And the other guy doesn't rotate over and pick up the shooter. And so Iowa gets an easy shot. So let's watch it again. You have the poor defense, you get the penetration, the overhelp. So going for the steal, it hurts Gonzaga here. And that's, something that the Who's can try to do. They doubled the big man. They were doubling Garza. They were bringing a guard mostly from the weak side. And, they could get in trouble a little bit with that. So, if we get into where we're posting up Jay, they might double him or anybody who posts up, they might double him. Not really because they're afraid, they want to get the ball out of his hands, or they're afraid, he's going to hurt him in the post. Drew Timmy's a pretty good defensive big man, and they've got a 7-footer that they could bring in, Balo. So I don't think they're really afraid of that so much. Frankly, if you've done your homework on our offense, you know that our post offense is bad. You know that Jay Huff is not an efficient post scorer, and you'd much rather have him working in the low post than out on the perimeter. So you're not trying to root us out of the post by doubling. They will double the big to try to force turnovers, and that's what we have to avoid. If our big men don't react well to the double when it comes, then that's going to create steals for Gonzaga, and then we're toast. Absolute toast. And then the other thing that Gonzaga will do is, even though they are a man-to-man defensive team, they will do some three-quarter court trap. They did some of it against Iowa. They did it in other games. They might try it against us. It might be a good thing for them to do against us because they're going to they want to speed us up. Look, they know we want to play slow. They don't want to play slow. They do not want to, and the coach from San Francisco said this about Gonzaga, they do not want to play defense deep into the shot clock. They want to get you to play at their pace. They're going to do things, and even giving up early shots might be part of their strategy because it gets you to play faster. They're going to want to get us to play faster. And so if we can force them to defend deep into the shot clock, it's going to make them impatient. They're not going to like it. And they may try to do what teams will try to do, and that's fatal against us, is try to push the tempo with their offense even more. And like even a team like Gonzaga, if they push the tempo too much against an organized transition defense and an organized secondary break defense that can lead them to force shots, not the kind of open shot that Suggs got in those videos that I showed you, but a shot with a hand in the face, a shot where he is getting resistance coming off that screen. So that's a little bit of what Gonzaga wants to do, offense and defense. Absolute necessities for Virginia. Number one is a complete focus on organized transition defense and picking up shooters. And by that I mean not just get back. A lot of teams, they run back and they'll get back and they'll have 4 or 5 guys back there very quickly, but they're not organized. Nobody knows who has who. And Gonzaga, they feast off of that stuff. They absolutely feast off of unorganized transition defense. I don't care if you got 4 guys back there. If you don't know where all the offensive players are, if your players aren't aware of where the offensive players are and where your teammates are and who's got who, then Gonzaga's going to kill you. And so that's number one for Virginia. Organized transition defense and alert to all 5 players. You can't let that big man or that trailing 3-point shooter come in and set up in an open place. They'll find them. They're very smart. But the flip side of that is, if we play transition defense the way our best defenses play it, we will frustrate Gonzaga because they're not going to get those easy early shots, and they're going to have to run their stuff. And their stuff, they're great players, but their stuff is nothing special. And so their stuff is something that we can guard because, hey, we got great players too. We haven't played great basketball so far, but we know the kind of players that we have. All right, so that's number one. Number two is very similar. We need to have disciplined and aware rotation on ball screens and an avoidance of overhelping. Help when you need to. Don't overhelp. Don't overcommit. Be able to get back to your man, because Gonzaga, they're going to run ball screens, side ball screens, like we saw. But not only are they trying to get the roll man to the hoop, they're trying to get you into rotation, and they're trying to get you to make mistakes. And San Francisco killed us in the second half doing that. Our rotations were poor, and against William & Mary, we saw a lot more of what we need to see. So let's take a look at some of what I'm talking about with UVA defense being much better. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, this is our defense. You're going to see Jay Huff in the middle, and he's going to hedge. And rather than watching the hedge and watching the ball, I want you to watch away from the ball. And I think on this, let's run it once, and you tell me if you see the rotation. All right. Yep, there it was. So let's run it back. Watch Thomas Woldeton's side. Focus on Thomas Woldeton's side. There it is. See? He's got the roll man. And now that pass isn't there. Now, the ball handler, yeah, he's got a man over there in the corner, but he's dribbling away from that man. And so that's not, number one, he can't necessarily see that the man's open. Number two, that's not really an easy pass for him to make. And also, if he tries to make that pass from there, Thomas has got time to make a play on the pass. So, Thomas has taken away the easy thing. And like Kihei and Sam, they're still in position to guard the strong side where the ball handler is looking. And the hedge was a good hedge because look how far out the dribbler is. Now watch ahead. See how far he has to go? So he's not in position to take advantage of anything quickly. And he does make the pass to the man Thomas left, but Jay recovered quickly. Thomas can recover back to his man, and now we've got good on-ball defense again. And now they're going to run another one. And did you see it? Did you see it? All right, let's back it up a little bit. Now I want you to watch Sam Hauser. All right, Sam Hauser's on number 21. He's flashing through the lane. All right, now watch Hauser. He sees, he's the rotation man. He picks up the roller. Now Thomas is in position to challenge the pass to the corner. So in order to make that pass into the corner, he's going to have to pass it high, which is going to make the ball travel slow in the air, which is going to allow us to react back to the pass. And there's Sam. And they got a decent look. That's not a bad look. Thomas is, closing out on that shooter could have been a little bit better. But the key thing here is our ball screen rotations and recoveries were the way Tony likes to see them. And we weren't seeing that earlier in the season, especially from Sam. Look, Sam, I'm just going to say, was bad early in there. So let's watch another one. Just another example. And, tell me if you see the off-ball pickup of the roller. All right. Now, Sam does a good job there. Now, the guard, it's a slip. He's able to get the ball between, and now you've got, potentially a bad situation. But Sam, he gets there fast, and he meets the roll man, the ball handler, before he can get into the lane. So that's not a gimme. He's making the man shoot against pressure, and there's 2-on-1 on the other side. But look where Trey Murphy is. It's really he's in a position where he can get to either one of these men if the pass is there, and the pass would be to the corner. The pass wouldn't be to the man on the wing because Trey's right in that passing lane. But he can, he threatens the other passing lane. Maybe number 21 should be farther down in the corner, but Trey's threatening that passing lane. So pretty good coverage there. Sam makes him take a tough shot, and then he's there to get the rebound. All right, so 2 examples. Virginia playing, pretty good defense against William & Mary. Yes, William & Mary is not Gonzaga, but Gonzaga is going to be doing pretty much the same kinds of things in their half-court offense. And so, Virginia's defense is very well set up, to guard what Gonzaga wants to do. All right. So the other absolute necessity for Virginia is on the offensive end. We're going to have to be alert with our passing and aware of everyone on the floor. Because as you saw, Gonzaga, they're going to anticipate. If we lose track of where somebody is, we're gonna wind up throwing the ball away. And when we pass the ball into the post, if that double team comes, we're going to have to be alert to where the double team is going to come from, who the open man is, where's the rotation going to come to pick up that man, and can we move the ball around and get good shots? And here's an example where we did a really good job of that. Let's see. Where is it? I know I had one. Let's see. There we go. All right, so here's an example. Keep your eye on Jay. He sets that. We saw that before, right? That kind of back screen. Doesn't really work here because better defense. We have the screen and roll. There's nothing there. So we reverse the ball, and now Jay's going to post up. Sam gets to him. Nice entry pass. And we're running our stuff. Let's run it again. And here comes the double team. Now, that's not the kind of double team that we're going to mostly see from Gonzaga. They're going to bring someone from the weak side. All right, so Kihei gets open. We move the ball around. And we get a 3. All right. I am going to criticize Thomas on this one. I've noticed Thomas has a tendency not to be ready to shoot when he catches the pass. If he's ready, he's got the shot. He's got the shot. And he gets a good shot, but I would like to have seen him go right up with it because the defender, it looks like he's in position, but watch. Watch it. See, he covers, he's coming out, and as the ball flies, watch, he's off the ground. He's not in a position to challenge the shot. But anyway. So that's an example of what we want to do on offense if they double the post. Jay does a good job there. He probably could have done a little bit better, but that's there. All right. Coming down to the end of this, I've got a couple more things, a couple of matchups that I want to talk about. First is going to be the matchup that I'm most worried about, which is Lee Suggs against Kihei Clark. Look, Kihei is an outstanding defender. He'll be a challenge for Suggs, but Suggs is exactly the type of guard that had the most success against Kihei last season, and that I talked about in the preseason. That's the kind of matchup we're going to have to watch with Kihei, because Suggs is 6'4", Kihei, is 5'9", and it was just that kind of big guard who is both excellent at attacking the basket and also, can shoot from the outside. And Suggs is an excellent three-point shooter. Now, Gonzaga as a whole, they're not really, they're not a big three-point shooting team. They don't shoot a lot of them. They don't shoot them particularly well. They are at 34% from three. But if you take a look at their splits, Drew Timme is not a stretch five. Corey Kispert, he's hitting 46%, so he's doing great on those shots. But Andrew Nembhard, Anton Watson, these other guys, not good three-point shooters. Jalen Suggs is 12 for 24, so he's at 50%, and really he's been their main three-point threat. So and we saw already one play where he just pulled up and popped it. I'm going to show you one or two more, the kind of stuff I'm just really worried about Jalen Suggs and why we have to really be alert to him. And this is another pull-up. You're going to watch him just, he takes advantage of that screen, pulls up, pops the three. Now look, you're not going to see this from UVA. You will not see this kind of defense from UVA. Number one is trying to go under the screen, which is, ridiculous. So look at the space. I mean, completely unpressured. But this is the play. This is the one. This is one of the things that's really going to be a worry. Suggs is down here in the corner, the bottom corner. He's got the ball in his hands, so let's run it. Boop. Little jab step. Gets the man thinking penetration. Then, steps back and hits the three. I would say does a James Harden, but he only took one step back instead of 4 or 5. That's a bitch of a play. That's a tough cover. Look for him to do that against Kihei, because even if Kihei plays it well, he's got like 7 inches on Kihei, so stepping back like that. A couple of guys did that last year against Kihei. A guy at South Carolina who absolutely killed us. One of their players did that. Jay Heath, is an example of what I'm worried about with this matchup. Kihei and Lee Suggs. Might like to see, Casey Morsell is supposedly our best defensive guard. I'm still not pleased with his decision making on offense, and I've seen some bad decision making on defense too. Getting beat, maybe Reese Beekman is our best cover for Suggs. Beekman's a freshman, but then again, Suggs is a freshman, Beekman's a freshman. Freshmen make fewer mistakes when they're on-ball defenders than they do in the off-ball stuff. So, maybe it was... And then Kihei can guard Andrew Nembhard, who's not the kind of shooter. He's bigger and he gets to the basket. But look, Kihei does really well against big point guards who maybe aren't that great shooters because they're not as successful at shooting over him and then creating that situation. He's really good at keeping him from getting to the basket. And, maybe he can goad Suggs into trying to get to the basket and draw a couple of charges or something. I don't know. But the kid is the real deal. He's a one and done. He's definitely a one and done. So I'm worried about that matchup. It's going to be, Kihei's competitive as hell. I think we're going to have to be maybe willing to let Suggs get that first step on Kihei because his best chance of success is going to be to close off Suggs' space. If he can get up underneath Suggs the way Bogues used to get up underneath guys and, get into the shot pocket so that Suggs can't bring that ball up in rhythm. It's all, Kihei has to stop him down here because if Suggs can get it up here, then, Kihei's not going to be able to bother a shot. So Kihei's going to have to get up underneath him. Beekman's going to have to get closer. We're going to have to be ready to help with intelligent help, and not let them get all the way to the rim because these guys they're good at the draw and dish. They're good at the ball movement. So if we have to get into too much rotation, but maybe with Suggs, you'd rather have him get in there some than get at least early, get a rhythm. I don't know. That Tony will figure that out. That's why I'm in my attic talking here, and Tony's making $9 million a year, doing what I would love to do. So that's one matchup I want to talk about. Second matchup I want to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about Jay Huff and Drew Timme. Timmy's not a stretch five. Timme, he's good on the screen and roll. He's not going to be pick and pop. It's pick and roll. He's good at it. He's good on a post up. We may see some post double. I don't like post double. Maybe we'll try and let Jay, take him one-on-one for a while. See how that works. They do a lot off the penetration. So, Timme is a fantastic player, inside the arc. He's hitting 62% of his shots from two. Gets to the free throw line. He's a pretty good free throw shooter. Anyway. All right, so Timmy's he's not a rim protector. It's not like, let's get him away. And I don't even know that Timme would wind up guarding Jay anyway. Now, apparently, I picked this up on that Locker Room Access podcast. San Francisco, their coach taught. What they did was they switched their defensive assignments. They put their 5-man on Justin McCoy, and they put their 4-man on Jay. And because Justin was basically playing the blocker role, and they could help off of Jay. Or Justin. They could help off of Justin. And so their 4-man was a little bit more mobile. He's able to defend Jay out on a perimeter. So we might see that from Gonzaga. We might see Gonzaga put Corey Kispert on Jay and put Drew Timme on Hauser. And I think when we go through this exercise, we see why Tony went with the starting lineup that he did against William & Mary. If teams are able to help off of Justin, if teams are able to do that, then that was a strategic advantage to other teams. And excuse me, By starting Murphy, now you've got Hauser and Murphy in as your forwards. Do you want to have Drew Timme guarding either one of those guys? Do you really want Drew Timme guarding Sam Hauser? Because what's Hauser going to do? Hauser's going to pull him away from the basket. And then you've got Jay going up against Kispert. Jay can take Kispert under the basket. And maybe even Jay Huff can be successful in the post against Corey Kispert with his, 6-inch height advantage. So that's something to watch. And you definitely don't want... Do you want Drew Timme guarding Trey Murphy if you're Gonzaga? No, I don't want that either. So it almost forces Gonzaga to keep Timme on Huff. And then that allows, Huff to force Timme to come out and defend on the perimeter. So, that's going to be a nice little strategic thing to watch. And then the third matchup that I want to talk about is what I see could be a real opportunity for Virginia, and that is the Sam Hauser Corey Kispert matchup. So let's assume that Mark Hughes says, I don't want Drew Timme trying to guard one of their forwards. I want Timme on Huff, and he's got Kispert defending Hauser. Now, Kispert can defend Hauser out on the perimeter, but, Sam Hauser is a heck of a post player on offense. So we could see Virginia running that 5-out where, Hauser flashes to the short corner and tries to go one-on-one with Kispert in the post. So let's keep an eye. That's an opportunity for Virginia. This could be the game where Hauser does his thing. This might be the game where Tony tries to get Hauser in the post a lot. Because look, in my preview for our Who's Place subscribers, I pointed out Hauser's statistics, his synergy statistics from Marquette. He's an excellent post scorer. He was like in the top 10% of Division I players as a post scorer. He's by far the most efficient Virginia player, or most efficient post scorer to wear a Virginia uniform probably since Anthony Gill left. And he hasn't done it, in that Virginia uniform, but he's in a Virginia uniform now. And so, he's a guy who could give us that post offense. So, and I think we might see it because he hasn't done well trying to create off the dribble. He's been playing the mover in the offense, and we saw Trey Murphy was playing blocker, Justin was playing blocker, Sam's been playing mover, and Sam hasn't really been that good in the curls. He's struggled in putting the ball on the deck. He hasn't really created opportunities that way. He's had some turnovers, and as I think that maybe we'll see him, go more to the blocker role in the offense, or it might be to his benefit to, not be trying to create off the dribble, but working as a post scorer, and that could be really successful for him. And it could force Gonzaga to get into help, because one of the things that I did see, look, Gonzaga, they had that high defensive ranking, but I saw them do three things more than once against Iowa that will allow Virginia to really take advantage. One, some off-ball inattention, and maybe I think I can show you something, because I know Iowa did have some success against them. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Iowa 4. All right. Open. So I want you to watch the weak side. So as the ball moves, watch the other side. Oh my goodness. See, we like to work weak side screens. And this is stuff, if Gonzaga doesn't get this cleaned up, let's see what Iowa does. All right, so the dribbler comes down, and he's going to pass the ball to one side. So now you've got the defense on the weak side. They have that ball man thing is difficult. It's very hard for them to keep eye on both the man and the ball. And then now Iowa's offensive players, they kind of cross, which means the defensive players, they need to figure out how they're going to handle their assignments. Are they going to switch or are they going to stay with their man? And look at Gonzaga's defenders. Look at their heads. They're watching the ball. So they have no idea what their attackers are doing, which results in this situation here. The guy in the lane is pointing out what the freshman needs to do, and he's absolutely right. The freshman should be up there. And this is something that unless Gonzaga cleans that up, we can feast on that. And our offensive sets, that's something that's right up our alley. You'll see it a lot. All right, so that's the off-ball inattention. And we saw them overhelp, which is the second thing I saw. They overhelp, they'll go for steals, and that can get them out of position and in rotation and give us some really good looks. And here's another thing that I saw them do where they get in trouble by doubling the post. So let's roll it. All right, did you see that? All right, first, Iowa runs the screen and roll. Garza rolls. They pick him up nicely. They've got him picked up. Iowa has the skip pass, but they don't take it. And now, all right, here's where they get in trouble. Garza's posting up, ball's here, the entry pass is there. The defensive player from the weak side, he comes a double before the pass was made. So you want to double on the pass. He's in good position. If he waits for the pass, the double will get there in time. But he commits the double too soon, and the Iowa player, now they have a wide open shot. All right. This is something else, that maybe we can take advantage of. So those are the opportunities that we have. Gonzaga's defense could be just what we need to get our offense really on track. I'm not saying they're a bad defensive team, but they don't like to play defense for 25 seconds. They want to play defense for 10 seconds. A team like Iowa, man, that's right up Gonzaga's alley because Iowa, they want to get the ball up onto the backboard fast too. And so Virginia's going to be a test for Gonzaga. Look, Gonzaga fans think they got nothing to worry about. I went on their board the other day because I wanted to talk to somebody, and I made the mistake of going into one of their threads, and somebody was like, "Yeah, Virginia, they're not a real top 20 team this year, contrary to popular opinion. Gonzaga shouldn't have any trouble with them." Well, I mean, one idiot fan, definitely Gonzaga's coaching staff and their players, they know Virginia's going to be challenged. It's going to be a great game. The other thing that I haven't talked about that we need to worry about is their offensive rebounding. Look, our defensive rebounding has not been up to snuff so far. That's very common early in the season for Virginia. I've heard this many times this time of the year. Our defensive rebounding isn't what it needs to be. It's not as good as it was last year. And then you get into January and February, and the defense, the opponents are getting 22% of their shots as offensive rebounds, and that's where you want to be. So this is the kind of game where we're going to see a lot of attention to the defensive rebounding, and so that's a big issue. The transition defense has been terrible this year. Those first few games, Kent State and and San Francisco really, really made us pay for some poor transition defense. We even had an issue against William and Mary in the transition defense. If we look, the transition defense is not up to Virginia standards tomorrow, today, whatever. We have no chance. Worried about that, and the defensive rebounding hasn't been up to snuff. And Tony made a decision when he went to start Murphy over McCoy. He traded defensive rebounding for offense, and it's a trade Tony's made before. He will trade defense for offense, so we'll see how it works out for us. Look, this is a tough one, and I think if our transition defense is there and we can force Gonzaga to run offense deep into the shot clock, and our rotations are tight. If our rotations are tight and we're able to keep Gonzaga's guards from getting downhill, that's going to help us with our defensive rebounding. So if we can do those things, look, Gonzaga is just the kind of team that our system is designed to beat. And Tony is 2-1 against Mark Few. And it's just that they're really, really good at what they do. So if there is a fast-paced team that can do it to us, it is Gonzaga. North Carolina generally hasn't had that much success against us, and they play, their overall philosophy style is the same. So if we can force them to play half-court offense and we can keep them from getting us into bad rotation situations, we can definitely force them, keep them from scoring their 94 points. Look, they're averaging 94 points a game, and 25 of that is coming in transition. So if you take away that transition, all of a sudden they're only scoring 69 points a game. Can we score 70 against their defense? I think we've just seen how we can score 70 against their defense. Because we're going to have Huff, Hauser, Murphy, Woldetensai, and Kihei Clark. And, look, Gonzaga, they got to be saying, we got to tighten up our defense. Because if they play pick-and-roll defense, if they play defense against Virginia the way they played against Iowa, they're going to be in for a world of hurt. And I think you're going to see us deliberately play slow. You're going to see us deliberately not take the early shots this time, because that's going to be the best way to get in their heads. So, get excited, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're still watching. And, if you guys like it, we'll do it again next time. It will actually be live, and you can leave comments, and we can respond to your comments, because if a comment comes in, I see it. And I'll say, hey, we got a comment from so-and-so. They want to know this. And we'll address your comment. And, we've got a lot of tools. So, anyway, this is Seattle Who signing off. Wahoo!